My name is Melissa. I'm HealthWare's registered dietitian and personal trainer. The camera looks a little wonky, so I'm going to adjust it here really quick, just to see if I can get it a little bit straighter. Just a little bit. Well, we'll see how that goes. All right, good enough. So welcome to class. I'm so glad you're here, whether you're watching live or the recorded version. I'm so glad you're here joining me this morning. It's a little bit different lighting in here than usual because it's raining outside. It's very dark outside, so I have lights on in here and it's kind of making a little bit of some strange shadowing, but we will persevere, we will power through. I am going to post the recipes of today's foods. I'm going to put the recipes on the comment section in this video right now so that you have access to those while you are watching if you want to view them. So give me just a moment while I do that. We've got 2 recipes today. There's the first one and here is our second. If you would like printable PDF copies of these recipes, you are more than welcome to have them. Just send me an email or just write a comment and I can email those to you and you can have the full PDF version for your use at home. Okay, get this out of our way. Just put that back there. So we've got 2 recipes today. They're great recipes for our weather, the rain. Today we are making a 20-minute vegan chili and a vegan whole grain cornbread. All of this actually can all be made within an hour. So it's an easy dinner idea. If you have an hour, 45 minutes or so, can get it all done actually within that time frame, which is great. So we're first going to start with the cornbread. I've already got our oven preheating. So that's the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the next thing is we want to prepare our baking dish. Now I only have one 9x9 square baking dish. So this one is technically, I think it's a 7x13 maybe. So just pretend it's a 9x9. Or if this is all you have at home, you could use one of these too. The cooking time may need to be adjusted a few minutes, but you can use what you have at home. So I'm going to prepare it with just a tiny bit of oil. This is avocado oil, just a small little splash in there. And then we are going to just use a paper towel to kind of spread it around. Get it into the corners. You don't need a ton, but we do just want to make sure that the cornbread doesn't stick once it's baked. So there we go. Our dish is prepared. And next, you will need, set that off to our side, a bowl, which I forgot to get. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to get it from the cupboard. On the shelf yesterday where I wanted to grab it to remember, but I obviously forgot. So here it is. Going to do, it's a very easy recipe, not very many ingredients. So the first thing is cornmeal. This is cornmeal, a medium grind or fine grind would be fine. Probably fine would be better. Cornmeal is a whole grain. So that is great. We're doing 1 cup of this. So 1 cup of, this is fine grain cornmeal, if you're wondering. Fine grain cornmeal. And then we're doing 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. If you don't have whole wheat pastry flour, it's fine, or you could go buy some. I haven't tried it with whole wheat flour. Whole wheat pastry flour is a little bit of a finer grind than the regular whole wheat flour is. You could probably also use white whole wheat flour, which is not the same as white flour, but white whole wheat flour actually should be a pretty decent replacement for the whole wheat pastry flour. But if you can find it, Whole wheat pastry flour is nice because it's a little bit finer, which bakes up a little bit nicer in this kind of a recipe. So I'm doing 1 cup, kind of spooning this one in so I get a more accurate measurement. So there's our 1 cup of that. Put the lid on so I don't splash it everywhere. And then next, so we're doing all the dry ingredients first, in case you didn't know that. Next is our baking powder. And we're going to use a full tablespoon of the baking powder. Do make sure it's baking powder and not baking soda. 1 level tablespoon into the bowl. And then our last dry ingredient is salt. And so we're doing a 1/2 teaspoon of our salt. Just regular salt or whatever kind you have would be fine. 1/2 teaspoon, yeah. Once you get all the dry ingredients together, whisk it all together. Our oven is preheated, if you heard that little noise. Whisk those dry ingredients together so that the salt and the baking powder are fully dispersed within the dry ingredients. And then we're going to just add in all of the wet ingredients. Very simple recipe, which is wonderful. You'll also notice there's not a lot of fat in this recipe, actually none that we're adding. So it's a decently healthy cornbread recipe in addition to being vegan. So first thing we're doing is adding in almond milk. Do make sure that it is unsweetened almond milk. This is just plain unsweetened almond milk. You can use vanilla. I have used vanilla in a pinch when I didn't have original or the plain flavor, but it won't make too much of a difference, but try to use the plain flavor if you can, if at all possible. So we're doing 1 full cup of that into our bowl. And then we're adding applesauce. I have just these little containers of applesauce, and I do recommend measuring it because these little containers are actually more like 1/3 of a cup, not 1/4 cup, which 1/4 cup is what we need. Again, make sure that your applesauce is unsweetened, all right? Unsweetened. As a rule, I recommend purchasing unsweetened applesauce if you're gonna have it as a snack or whatever you eat it for. Unsweetened applesauce, not sweetened, okay? So 1/4 cup of that goes into our mixture. And then our last ingredient is maple syrup. Pure maple syrup is what I recommend, all right? Not Mrs. Butterworth or whatever else there is. Pure maple syrup is ideal, okay? And we're doing, again, 1/4 cup of this. So just a little bit of sweetener. And there we go. And we're gonna add that right into our mixture. Next, all we do is stir it. So I'm using more of a large spoon or a spatula, using that to stir. You don't want to stir it too much, so just until it's all incorporated, kind of like a cake batter would be. Stirring it together. So just until it's all the dry pieces are incorporated. And you'll notice it kind of starts to fluff up a little bit, and that's the baking powder action already starting to happen. So with this recipe, you do want to make sure that your oven is ready to go when your dough or when your batter is ready to go. You don't want the baking powder sitting out and waiting for another 10 minutes while your oven preheats. So hopefully without dropping in the glass bowls, I am going to transfer it into our prepared, into our prepared baking dish. So in a 9x9 pan, it may look a little bit more full. This is a little bit thinner because the pan is just a little bit bigger, different shape. So spread it out evenly. Try not to handle it too much, but you do want to kind of spread it out evenly. And I'm going to scrape off the extra. Don't want to waste any of that. Sorry, that was my cat jumping. You heard that noise. And we're just gonna pop this right into our oven. So I'm gonna step out of the frame and do that. timer, 20 minutes, that is it. With that smaller pan, it may need a little bit less time, may need a little bit more time, okay? So with the 9x9, it is 20 minutes, and that should do it. And we will check back in with that when we're all done with our next recipe. I do have an already prepared one in the 9x9 pan. Actually, I can show it to you right now. So this is what it looks like in our 9x9 pan. Ta-da! Looks, tastes, smells like cornbread. Okay, so that's what we've got. And this would be a 9x9 pan. And we will cut into this one, or if we are ready for it, our other cornbread when we're all finished. Now we're gonna switch over to our 20-minute chili. I'm gonna clear off my area here and get our next ingredients. And by the way, please do feel free to ask questions or anything. I think someone said, yummy. I think Andrea's on there watching. Hello! She says yummy. I'll bring you some later today. All right, let me get my stuff out of the way. And now we're switching over to our chili. Okay. And again, this next recipe, both of these are relatively simple, so you'll notice there's not a lot of ingredients to them. That's actually the kind of cooking that I prefer to do, and I'm sure that a lot of you can agree with that. Nothing fussy going on with our recipes today. So again, if you just need sort of a quicker dinner idea, but you want something, you know, warm and hearty and healthy, then this would be a great meal for you to prepare. All right, let's get into it. I am using, this is more of like, almost like a wok, kind of. It's a large, deep skillet that has a lid. So you want something like this, or a pot, a kind of saucepan type of thing. It will make somewhere in the realm of 6 to 7 cups. So you do want to make sure that you have enough space in whatever cooking vessel you're using. I'm gonna get this heated up. Somewhere in that medium heat range is what we're going for. Get that going. And we'll talk through some of our ingredients. I have already taken the liberty of cutting up all of our vegetables so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do that. That would be very boring. You'll notice in the recipe 3 cups of chopped vegetables, and you can really use whatever you like. When I make chili, I tend to do something like carrots and bell pepper and sometimes mushrooms if I have those. That's what I have in the bag. I have got a yellow bell pepper, carrots, and mushrooms. You can also use onions. You could use kale if you want something like that, chopped up small, or zucchini, or you can do a little bit of corn. I wouldn't do all corn. We want to do more of the non-starchy vegetables to keep the carb level down just a little bit. So all these non-starchy vegetables, basically anything besides peas, potatoes, and corn, anything else would be great. I'm going to go ahead and add these into our pot. It's already warmed up. I don't know if you can hear the sizzling on there. You'll also notice that we are not adding oil to this either. Again, this is a relatively low fat recipe, which is great, a little healthier. So instead, you can use a little dash, a couple spoonfuls or whatever, a splash of water, okay? Just a little bit to keep it moistened so that the vegetables don't burn on the bottom of the pan. In addition, the lid is also very helpful for this because it helps hold in the moisture that the vegetables are letting off, especially something like mushrooms. They let off a decent amount of moisture when they cook. So keeping the lid on helps keep the moisture in kind of more of a steam sort of environment in there. When I made this for practice, about 7 minutes to get the vegetables cooked to where I wanted them. It's going to vary based on how small you cut the vegetables, or what type of vegetables you're using. So something like mushrooms will cook significantly faster than something like carrots, or something like kale, spinach. Again, those are going to cook a lot quicker. So it just depends on your type of vegetables that you're using. And make sure that you do stir every so often, or if you need to, you can add a little bit more of the water. We just want to make sure that the vegetables don't burn or stick on the bottom of the pan. Have your heat on about medium heat, so not high heat. If it's on high heat, your vegetables are probably going to burn and stick on the bottom of the pan. So medium heat is where we want to have that set to prevent burning. We just want them cooked, not burned. Then the other ingredients that we've got for our recipe today are seasonings. So we have chili powder, and make sure that whatever type you have or you buy is salt-free, because we're adding our own salt. So seasoning blend, chili powder blend, not salt. Okay, this is just the Trader Joe's version. And then I also like to add cumin to mine, ground cumin. So that's the other seasoning. Again, very simple, nothing crazy, easy to make, pretty basic seasonings, as well as salt, which I need to grab from back here, as well as some salt. I'm gonna give our veggies just a little bit of a stir, check in on those. So they've released already a decent amount of moisture, plus the stuff that we added in. So I'm just kind of spreading out the vegetables kind of in an even layer at the bottom of the pan so that they all cook evenly. And then the rest of our ingredients, again, very simple, 4 cans of things. First, kidney beans, with both the beans, kidney beans and the black beans. If you can, try to buy a low sodium version. You can buy a no salt version too if you want, if you can find those, but low sodium is ideal. The Trader Joe's version, that's the kind I have, it doesn't actually specify low sodium on them, but the organic beans that they sell, the organic versions, are low sodium. So in one serving, the sodium is 130 milligrams, which is technically low sodium. Typically, canned beans will have more like 300 or 400 milligrams of sodium per serving. So low sodium or the Trader Joe's organic ones are a better choice, especially since we are adding our own salt to it, okay? Same sort of story for the tomato product. So diced tomatoes, you'll see this, I'll come a little closer. This is Trader Joe's, diced and no salt added. I think I flipped that, but I'm actually not sure if I flipped the camera. That might actually be backwards to you. Sorry about that. I think that's backwards. But it does say no salt added. No salt added tomatoes. When you're buying diced tomatoes, again, almost as a rule, I would buy no salt, sodium-free, diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, whatever it is. You are generally going to be adding your own seasoning to it. So there's no need to be buying tomatoes that have lots and lots of sodium in them as well. Tomato paste, I'm pretty sure that they might sell, I think they sell no sodium added tomato paste. Trader Joe's does not. So this one does have sodium in it, but it is very, very small. 25 milligrams per serving, so very, very low on the sodium content for that. Let's take another check at our vegetables, and those are looking actually great. So I wonder if I can bring you over and show you. I'll bring the camera over and you can see what I'm looking at, hopefully. Okay, those are our veggies bubbling away in there. Get my camera set back up where I want it. All right. Now we're ready to just add everything else in. So simple. I'm going to do the black beans, and you'll notice in the directions it does say to rinse them and then drain them. All of that liquid that's in with the beans, that's where a lot of the sodium that is there, a lot of the sodium is oftentimes in that liquid, okay? Then the kidney beans, same story, rinsed and drained. For some reason, these ones are always more difficult to get out of the can. I almost got them all. Okay, there you go. And then we're adding in those diced tomatoes right on top. Next is the tomato paste. I do use a full can of the tomato paste. I have to use a spoon to get it out. And you will need to stir the tomato paste around. The tomato paste kind of helps to thicken and give it more of, not so much of a watery consistency, I guess is how I want to say it. So the tomato paste is important, it is helpful. Get that off of there. All right, and then the final thing that we want to add in is our seasonings. We've got our salt, which is 1/2 of a teaspoon. Right on there. And then our cumin. I'm kind of going backwards, bottom to top on those seasonings, sorry about that. But cumin, we're doing 1 teaspoon. If you don't like it, you can omit the cumin, but it's one of my favorite seasonings. So. And then we're adding in the chili powder, and we're doing 2 teaspoons of this. Again, the chili powder mixture, make sure it's actually a chili powder. It's a little hard there, I think. Hold on. Make sure it's chili powder and not like cayenne pepper or red pepper, right? It is chili powder. There we go. Chili powder, okay? Everything is in. I'm just going to now mix it together. So make sure that you kind of mix out that tomato paste to get it fully incorporated, and so everything is a little bit thicker, because the vegetable juice is going to be on the thinner side, as well as any liquid left over from draining, rinsing off those beans. It's going to be a little bit on the thinner side with that. So do make sure that you mix through the tomato paste. Has anyone been counting down the minutes to how much is left of our cornbread? I think it's going to get close. There's 7.5 minutes on that one. But we already have our prepared cornbread, so we're good to go. All right. I'm going to turn the heat off now at this point, and I'm going to bring you back over so you can take a look at what our final product of the chili looks like. So there is that in the pot. I'm going to serve some up so you can see it then as well. But that is what it looks like. Super simple, but very hearty, very filling. Now, let's put it all together. I'm gonna serve out. And you will notice the nutrition information for both of the chili and the cornbread. Serving size I have as 6. So you can get, this chili makes about 6 cups. It's like 6 rounded cups, 6 kind of heaped cups, okay? This is obviously more than that, but I want you to be able to see it. But for evenness sake, they're both 6 servings, okay? So that's the chili. Okay. And then we're gonna cut into our cornbread. You can see it. This one was baked actually yesterday, and my husband helped me make it. Isn't that nice? Really simple recipe. He did it, no problem, other than making a mess. Don't tell him I said that. So cut it right down the middle to get our 6 servings. I feel like I should cut out a middle piece. Maybe I'll do a middle piece. Then you can see all of it. There we go. Ta-da! I'll bring this one a little closer for you to see. This is what our cornbread looks like. Looks like cornbread, smells like cornbread. It's also very good, heated up is best. So out of the oven after a few minutes, or microwave it, that sort of thing if you're making it a day ahead of time. Heated up is better for the cornbread, I think. And you can use a little bit of either like a vegan, a non-dairy butter on it, or some honey. That's what my husband likes to do. I like it plain. And then of course, to be pretty, we can add a little bit of garnish on top of our chili. And there, I'll tilt it down a little bit. There is our final meal, chili and cornbread. Perfect for this rainy, cold weather that we are experiencing today. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed our recipes today. Some of my easy go-to favorites. I think I've been making this cornbread for like 7 years. I got the recipe when I met my husband from his family. So it is a tried and true recipe. I hope that you make it. Let me know. I would love to know if you try out these recipes. If you want the PDF versions, just let me know. I'll email those to you. Oh, someone said something again. Very nice. Oh, good. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Again, let me know if you want the recipes, printable versions. Other than that, I will see you next month for a new batch of recipes, some new great foods. Let me know if you have any requests for foods you'd like to see a plant-based version of. I'd love to cook foods that you like eating. Happy Wednesday. Stay dry out there, stay warm. Bye.